Hello, everybody. My name is Michael Wolf. I'm going to be pitching a pre-production project for my prospective thesis project, WaxHeart. A little bit about me. I am a first-year game design MFA student. I am a professional Unity engineer, worked in the industry for over 6 years. I have a background in virtual reality, augmented reality, and mobile games. I have a couple of games published on Steam. I'm the former president of multiple student game dev organizations, one at my undergrad, Cal State Long Beach, and I also helped run the Student Game Developer Alliance, which helps connect student game dev clubs all over. Later, Thomas, I'd like to talk to you about getting SGDA involved with the pitch day. Anyways, and just a little thing about me. My personal dream is to start my own indie game studio where I can make meaningful, artful games. I have some contact info down here. It will also be at the end. So I'm going to talk the premise of the game. This is a bunch of text, but WaxHeart is an atmospheric horror 3D platformer where you play as a wax boy with a lantern for a heart, journeying through a dark, ruined world in search of his lost memory. It's an adventure set in a sunless world filled with monsters and mysteries. The light from your lantern heart helps you find your way through the darkness, but also alerts monsters to your presence. And what do I mean by an atmospheric horror 3D platformer? Well, if you think of these games inside and limbo, think this kind of mood. And then with the control of a game like Journey. That's perhaps an oversimplification, but it does help you understand what I'm going for. As for the gameplay, you progress through the game by avoiding the Ichor Monsters and collecting a resource called Radiant Oil, which powers up the lantern in your chest. As you go, your lantern becomes more capable and it allows you to advance to the next zone. The game is comprised of 3 sequential zones. I've outlined them all in a narrative document. These zones are explorable 3D worlds with a variety of stealth, platforming, puzzle challenges. Think of any 3D platformer game. This is a level in one of those games. I have been prototyping this actually since the moment I started LCAD. This GIF right here shows kind of an example of the hiding your light mechanic. And here's it in action in my current gray box. This is still very early. The idea here is that you can use it to get past kind of detection. Okay, so I'm gonna go into like the world building that I have so far. This is a world with no natural sun. It is populated by candle people made of wax and with a burning wick on their head. In the center of the world is a giant tower called the Sun Tower, and atop it is a massive collection of this radiant oil, and it serves the sun as this world. This oil is also what gives the candle people their life. At some point, the sun tower was destroyed, and soon after, this corrupting Ichor substance spreads through the world and corrupts all the candle people, turning them into warped cannibalistic horrors. And the wax boy is unique in how he has a lantern instead of a wick and wakes up from a dream, a memory of the tower, and begins his journey there. It's kind of abstract. I have a whole thing, but that's just kind of the setup. I have been paying for some concept art so far. This is some early ideas of the tower and different environments. We have like a massive city under the tower, things like that. A lot of different environments and a style that I'm hoping to make very unique. Here is a concept art of the inside of the tower, which is I hope to be at the end of the game. You can see that we can go some really creative ways. So that's the game idea so far. What do I mean by a pre-production project? My goal here is to explore, iterate, and finalize at least to as best as you can during pre-production, finalize the visual and narrative design before full production starts next year. I also want to say right now that I do not want to take resources away from the other MFA students. So please consider other projects before mine. And if you just want to talk to me about the project, I'd always love to. So my goals are to, as I've already kind of said, explore, iterate, and finalize visual design. So that's going to be like environment concept art, character concept art, gameplay mockups. I hope to make a lookbook by the end of the pre-production. I also want to create storyboards that kind of go through the narrative elements of the game and be able to kind of iterate on them. Maybe make animatics for certain key moments, and it'll really kind of help explore and test how the game feels. I'd also love to run storyboards by sample audiences and see reactions, gauge, and make adjustments. During this time, I would also love to explore an engine like materials, shaders, and effects, just kind of get some ideas for these things moving. And if there are engineers available, I'd love some help making the proof of concept prototype. I'm going to be spending my whole semester doing that. And well, I'm going to be prototyping until all the way through, but I'd love to get some people aboard if they're available. And this would help me get to the point of making gray box levels, which then feeds back into the concept art process. All that said, who am I looking for? Let's just get to the point. That's concept artists, storyboard artists, illustrators, like full rendered illustrators. I'm looking for technical artists who can make visual effects in Unity. It would also be nice to have some 3D modelers to maybe make some of our key props and characters. I'd also like to be able to get some nice fluid animations if I can, if there are 3D animators available. And again, Unity engineers to help me prototype. I'll post these in the chat and questions.